can poke at the employment thing, right?
Uh-huh.
We have a question here from Anonymous attendee all the way from France with us. And he's asking, how is the white collar unemployment from high paying jobs in tech and fintech affecting the Jacksonville market? Any data around it? Is JWB observing any market changes with your regular client profile based on the economy? And of course, what they're talking about is there's recently been a bunch of headlines around layoffs in tech, right? So the headline before soft landing is now coming, when everybody thought recession was coming, was white collar recession is here, right? So what do you know about this idea of like that there are more jobs? First of all, let's start there. You said that jobs are still happening. Any takes on the idea that like, you know, the tech sector has done this and yet jobs are still happening? Any insight there?
Just national, I think the tech sector has taken a beating from a jobs perspective. They were some of the biggest high profile companies to slash jobs right off the bat, and they were slashing them by the tens of thousands. So think Meta, and you could probably name the big ones out there that were slashed. Google, I know, slashed, I don't know how many tens of thousands of jobs.
Salesforce, like all the big ones slashed a bunch of jobs. Yeah.
So I know that's the
smaller ones.
And
big time.
And that was a little bit of a frothy kind of environment. That the whole tech sector has been frothy for a while. So
you know, as someone who has a toe in the tech sector based on my network of like marketers and things that I do in my other podcast, it feels like venture capital money with low interest rates was just flying everywhere.
100%.
And that to them led to this philosophy of growth at all costs, right? Because money was cheap. So they were just investing in growth nonstop at whatever cost, because cost didn't matter to them. It was monopoly money. Now the tides have turned and it feels like it's growth at sustainable cost, growth at lowest cost, right? Like growth only that can be funded by actual revenue being brought in, not from rich Uncle Scrooge.
You actually have to be profitable in order to get your valuation. What a crazy thought.
Yeah, so that to me makes a lot of sense. That happened just based on money flying everywhere. You got to be more responsible with your money. What do you know about the local market? Is that hit here?
I was just racking my brain. I mean, I can certainly do a little bit more research, but I haven't heard of any major layoffs from the tech sector here. If that has happened, I wouldn't be surprised if it has happened here, because again, the entire economy is slowing down. Even when we say soft landing, it makes it feel it's like a euphemism, but the entire economy is slowing down. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are some tech layoffs, some white collar jobs are being laid off in Jacksonville, just like they are across the country. But I think that people don't understand what an epicenter of fintech jobs Jacksonville is. The fact that we have Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered here, like FIS, who we had the CEO of the show, CEO of FIS on the show not too long ago. I mean, what an incredible opportunity for us to spend some time with a Fortune 500 CEO. So that company is here. There's Paycor has just brought 600 new jobs here. Deutsche Bank just relocated, a 100-year-old company relocated to Jacksonville. And so all this fintech space is burgeoning here in Jacksonville. So I think that is an undertold story. Maybe we'll tell that one a little bit more in the future as well.
And I feel like not all tech is the same.
Right.
There is the venture funded, like growth at all costs, like MarTech stack, right? Like marketing software has exploded recently. And it feels like that took a giant kick in the teeth. The idea that fintech and healthcare tech is a more stable market because the demand still hasn't been met for the solutions that are being brought out. To me, just logically, I don't have data behind it, but I would assume that the amount of layoffs that happened in like marketing and sales software for like a growth at all cost market versus the layoffs that are happening inside fintech and healthcare tech, which is what we are strong in, is probably different. I also have to think that based on the Jacksonville economy and the effect, you know, since Anonymous is asking about the effect on JWB and the local economy, fintech and healthcare tech are just part of our economy. We're not Silicon Valley that is so like, you know, hell bent on the tech sector. We are very well balanced by logistics, by the government, right? Like big naval forces here, very, very stable businesses, by healthcare itself, Mayo Clinic and all these great institutions here, and fintech and healthcare tech and finance that isn't fintech.
Exactly.
Right. So I would assume that probably less of an effect on the local economy based on the fact that it's one leg of a stool.
And I do know that the unemployment rate in Jacksonville is less than the overall rate for the entire country. So, and if one of our friends in the audience here wanted just to do a Google search and look up Jacksonville's unemployment rate and maybe put it in the chat, let us know. I know it's less than 3.7%. I just can't remember exactly what it is. So that would all trickle down. If we had a max exodus of fintech jobs and we were overly reliant on fintech, you would see that our unemployment rate would be higher than the national average. We're lower than it. So yeah, so great question, Anonymous.
Yeah, that was a good jam session.